Imagine the sound of a heavy iron key sliding into a lock that has not been oiled in over 20 years. It is a piercing, agonizing scream of metal grinding against metal, a sound that vibrates through your very marrow before the thick oak door even begins to groan open. You are not the hero of a romantic ballad, and there is no sudden rescue waiting for you at the turn of the corridor. There is only the damp, the dark, and the crushing weight of stone walls that are about to become your entire world. Welcome to your first day as a prisoner in the year of our Lord 1348. The heavy iron shackles bite into your wrists with a cold and unforgiving hunger, the rusted metal grinding against skin that is already raw and weeping from the rough handling of the king's men-at-arms. You are no longer a person with a name, a family, or a trade. You are a body to be stored, a problem to be forgotten in the deep, lightless belly of the fortress. As you are shoved forward by a gloved hand, the world of sunlight and open air vanishes behind a door of solid oak and iron, replaced by the suffocating embrace of the subterranean deeps. Every step down the winding stone staircase feels like a descent into the afterlife itself. The air changes almost immediately, losing the crisp scent of the morning breeze and taking on the thick, cloying weight of saltpeter, ancient dust, and the unmistakable copper tang of old blood. It is a smell that does not merely sit in your nostrils. It coats the back of your throat, a constant reminder that many have breathed this same stagnant air, and many have died within its grip. The torchlight held by the silent guard flickers violently, casting long and distorted shadows that dance like demons against the damp masonry of the walls. You watch the water trickling down the stones, forming slow and rhythmic drops that sound like a ticking clock in the oppressive silence of the hallway. There is no conversation here, only the heavy thud of leather boots on stone and the rattling of your own chains, a sound that will soon become the only music you know. Your cell is not a room, but a stone box, a narrow and vertical tomb carved directly into the bedrock of the castle foundations. When the guard finally shoves you inside, you stumble over a pile of rotting straw, the smell of decay rising up to greet you like an old and unwanted friend. The door slams shut with a finality that echoes through your chest, and for a moment, the silence is so absolute that you can hear the frantic beating of your own heart. You are alone, or at least you think you are alone, until your eyes begin to adjust to the oppressive gloom. In the far corner of the cell, a shape shifts in the darkness, a mass of rags and matted hair that might once have been a man of some standing. He does not speak at first, but you can feel his eyes upon you, measuring your strength, your spirit, and perhaps your remaining sanity. This is the first lesson of the dungeon. You are never truly alone, even when the silence is absolute. The social order here is not dictated by wealth or title, but by the sheer will to endure the unendurable. He watches as you find a patch of straw that is slightly less damp than the rest, his gaze a silent warning that every inch of this miserable space is contested territory. To survive even the first 12 hours, you must learn the language of the shadows. You must understand that a cough from the neighboring cell is a signal, that the rhythm of the guard's footsteps tells you if it is time for the meager ration or if it is time for the question. There is a hierarchy among the damned, and you are currently at the very bottom, a fresh soul in a place that devours the new and the weak with equal indifference. As the hours crawl by, the physical reality of your situation begins to set in with a vengeance. The cold is not a mere chill, It is a living thing that crawls up from the stone floor and settles in your bones, making your joints ache with a dull and persistent fire. You wrap your arms around your chest, trying to preserve the fading warmth of your body, but the dampness of the air makes it impossible. Your clothes, once fine or at least functional, are now nothing more than sponges for the moisture of the dungeon. You find yourself staring at the walls, which are covered in the frantic scratchings of those who came before you. There are names, dates, and desperate prayers for mercy carved into the limestone with fingernails or bits of bone. Some of these markings date back 40 years, a silent testament to the fact that time in this place does not flow like it does in the world above. Here, a day can feel like a month, and a month can feel like a lifetime. You find yourself tracing the grooves of a carved cross with your thumb, wondering if the person who made it ever saw the sky again. The walls seem to lean inward, the weight of the entire castle pressing down on your shoulders, threatening to crush the very breath from your lungs. You try to focus on the sounds from far above, the faint and muffled echoes of horses' hooves on the drawbridge, or the distant ringing of a blacksmith's hammer. But these sounds only serve to remind you of everything you have lost. Midday is marked not by the position of the sun, but by the heavy and rhythmic slide of a wooden hatch at the base of the cell door. A wooden bowl is pushed through the opening, containing a grey and gelatinous mass that passes for pottage, and a crust of bread so hard it could be a stone taken from the very wall itself. You reach for it with trembling hands, your stomach twisting in a painful knot of hunger, yet the first bite is a desperate struggle. The bread is filled with grit and the husks of grain that were never meant for human consumption, and it tastes of damp earth and mould. You must chew slowly and carefully, forcing yourself to swallow each mouthful, knowing that this meagre offering is the only thing keeping the slow slide into oblivion at bay. The water is even worse, served in a cracked ceramic jug that smells of the river's silt and something far more foul. It is tepid and carries the metallic taste of the vessel, but you drink it greedily, your throat parched from the dust of the descent. Every swallow is a gamble against the sickness that roams these halls like a phantom, claiming those whose bodies have grown too frail to fight back. You look at your cellmate, who is eating his portion with a mechanical, soulless efficiency. He does not offer you any of his food, and you do not ask. In this place, charity is a forgotten concept, replaced by the brutal necessity of keeping one's own flame of life flickering for just one more hour. As the afternoon wanes, the cell grows even darker, and the sounds of the prison begin to change. From somewhere deep in the labyrinth of stone, you hear a sound that freezes the blood in your veins, the long, low moan of someone who has reached the end of their endurance. It is followed by the sharp crack of a whip and the harsh laughter of men who have long since lost their humanity. You realize then that the physical walls are only part of your prison. The true horror is the knowledge that you are at the mercy of those who view you as nothing more than cattle. You huddle closer to the wall, trying to make yourself as small as possible, as if by disappearing into the shadows you might escape the notice of the tormentors. Your cellmate finally speaks, his voice a rasping whisper that sounds like dry leaves skittering across a tombstone. He tells you that the first day is always the hardest, for it is the day you still have hope. He tells you that hope is a dangerous thing in a place like this, a fire that consumes you from the inside until there is nothing left but ash. He advises you to forget the sun, to forget the faces of your children, and to focus only on the next breath, the next drop of water, the next moment of survival. You want to scream that he is wrong, that you will be free by the end of the week, but the words die in your throat as you look at the hollowed-out pits of his eyes. Nightfall brings a new kind of terror, a darkness so thick and absolute that you cannot see your own hand in front of your face. In this void, your other senses become unnaturally sharp. You hear the skittering of rats in the straw, their tiny claws clicking against the stone as they search for scraps of food, or perhaps something more. You feel the brush of something cold and furry against your ankle, and you kick out instinctively, your heart racing with a primal fear. The air grows even colder, and the silence is broken only by the distant rhythmic tolling of a bell from the chapel above, a sound that feels like a funeral dirge for your former life. You lie down on the damp straw, trying to find a position that does not aggravate the sores on your wrists, but comfort is a forgotten luxury. The straw is infested with lice and fleas that begin their nightly feast on your skin. Their bites a stinging reminder of your new status in the world. You close your eyes and try to summon the memory of a warm hearth and the smell of roasting meat, but the images are fleeting and fragile, slipping through your fingers like smoke. You realize that you are now part of the history of this place, one more soul added to the count of the forgotten. The first day is drawing to a close, and you are still alive, which is a victory of sorts, though it feels like a hollow one. You understand now that the prison is not just a place of punishment, but a place of transformation, where the person you were is slowly stripped away until only the raw essence of survival remains. As you drift into a fitful and shallow sleep, haunted by dreams of iron and stone, you know that tomorrow will be exactly the same, and the day after that, and the day after that.